Hey, what's up, everybody? This is your boy, the dope ass dude, and I am so excited to be back on tonight. It's been a while since we've had a Monday together, but I am really excited to be back for season 9 of the podcast. And there are so many amazing things that are planned for this. So, welcome to the kickoff of season 9. Thank you for being out. And you already know the preliminary things. If you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, if you don't mind going ahead, subscribing to the YouTube channel. And while you're there, click on notifications so that you can be notified each and every time a new video is uploaded to the site. And you can watch the podcast each Monday. We are live on Facebook, LinkedIn, X, and YouTube. So again, you can watch it on Facebook, LinkedIn, X, and Twitter. And if you aren't able to watch it on Mondays, you can always catch the podcast on Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. And again, I always like to give a shout out to the on the go listeners because you guys are really growing in that community. So I'm really excited about that. And then if you're not following me on Instagram and on TikTok, you can follow me on both of those platforms. You can follow me on both of those platforms at the Dope Ass Dude Podcast on both Instagram and TikTok, the Dope Ass Dude Podcast. And just a couple of preliminary things for Dr. Harley. You can go out and you can follow him on both Instagram and TikTok. On Instagram and TikTok, he is Dr. Keith Harley. So that's again Dr. Keith Harley. On X, he is just simply Keith Harley. And on YouTube, you can find him at Keith Harley Stylist. So I'm really, really, really excited about tonight's podcast because, as you guys always know, I'm out on the internet and was social media scrolling. And one day I came across Dr. Harley's page, and it was like he was like at first I was like, this guy is an interior decorator and everything because he was doing some interior stuff. And then I kept watching and kept watching. I was like, this is this guy's house. And like it is, if you follow him on any form of social media, you know that this guy is like an extreme fashion guru. He's like amazing with his fashion. But then as I continued to research him, I learned that he wrote a book. And I went out and I made his book, Step Up, the last book of 2024 that I read. And I must tell you, the book is life-changing. And I'm really excited about him being on the podcast on tonight because I know that something is going to be said that encourages you to live your best life. So I'm going to go ahead and bring him on out because I want him to talk about himself. We've already discussed this. He think he's going to be quiet tonight, but that ain't going to happen. So we're going to bring him on out. Dr. Harley, what's going on?
What an introduction, man. I swear to God. You know, you say you're going to be serious when you come on, and then you say what you just said, and I'm like, oh, really? Oh,
That's how it
God.
was
John,
when you
thank you
said
so much for having me.
absolutely. And like you was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, really? That's how it was when you said you got to be quiet. Like, oh, really? Let's see how that works out for you, buddy.
Yes, yes, yes,
So
yes,
thank
yes.
you for coming on. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, you know, that's one of the things people get on me because they say I don't know how to talk about myself. This is so crazy. I'm 56 years old. I used to be in the beauty industry for 35 years. My doctorate is in the study of hair and scalp disorders. So I had 2 hair and scalp clinics in the Washington metropolitan area. In 2019, I retired and I relocated. And then when I relocated in 2020, in March, the everything shut down during COVID. And I was like, what in the world is going on? I am going to be depressed. So I stayed. So literally for 3 months until May, I was on the couch wondering what I was going to do. I had just retired, and I just didn't know. I was just dumbfounded. I'm like, what is going on? And one of the things about when you've been shut down, it makes you spend time with self. I don't know if you had that experience, John. It literally made you go within yourself and get to know who you are, the good and the bad. And so that's what I experienced in the midst of COVID, was getting to know Keith, taking off the band-aids from all the wounds that I had experienced for 50 something years. And at this very moment, I was locked in and had to confront those issues. So once I went through that for quite a few months, I decided I was trying to decide what I was going to do next. And so one day I was on this TikTok thing, and I said, "Oh, this seems interesting." So I started doing a couple of the dances and stuff. And I said, "Well, wait. This ain't gonna make me no money." I'm up here doing these dances and trying to memorize them and all the skits. And I said, "Well, this is not gonna make me any money." So then I decided, okay, Keith, what's next? And I decided to take my life experiences and finish my book that I had started 4 years prior to that, and decided to become a full-time influencer where we focus on fashion, food, travel, decor, motivation, and inspiration. And that's how this new career started in the second part of my life.
Wow. So I like how you said that you had to, the world coming to a halt caused you to like look inner and really get to know who you are, because I think a lot
Mm-hmm.
of times we think we know who we are, but when we
Mm-hmm.
have those moments that causes us to be silent, it's scary. It's scary
It's
because we
scary.
realize a lot of stuff about ourselves that maybe we
Mm-hmm.
suppressed, we even
Mm-hmm.
forgotten about it and that kind of stuff. So when you did that, was it hard for you to like dig deep?
Yeah, it was difficult because I couldn't shake it. I couldn't run away from it because I was there stuck with myself. So I had to take a look within myself and figure out what the pain was. I figured out where the pain came from, and uh, how I was going to live the rest of my life. Was I going to continue to be in pain, or was I going to address the pain and make a decision that I was going to come to a solution to fix it? Now, let me just give you a little note. Sidebar. It took me 50 something years to become who I am. So to address the pain and then to fix it, it doesn't happen overnight for you to become this new person by you addressing this pain. So I want people to know, and I want you to know, it took me 50 years to become Keith. But then I had to go back and address some of these issues. And in a short period of time, I had to do the hard work to heal myself from my past and become who I am today.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Okay. Because, of course, I read your book. I've already
Yes,
read your book.
yes,
So, and
yes.
it's amazing. So, let me ask
Hmm.
you this here. So, you had already started working on your book before COVID?
I sure did.
So,
I
how
worked.
did,
Go ahead.
no, no, go.
I started it 4 years prior to. The book was much thicker. It was like this thick. And I scrapped it. Then I did it again, and then I scrapped it again. Then my publisher was getting on me, and she said, "Look, you got to get this book done." So one day I happened to be in Miami working, and I said, "I'm going to finish this book," because I kept promising people that it was coming, and I didn't finish it. And so at this point, as I talk about in the book, my promises and my goals became lies to everybody else. I would tell people I was going to do it, wouldn't get it done. I told people it was coming out this date, it wouldn't happen. I told people they could pre order it, they couldn't. So all of the goals and the dreams and the aspirations became a lie. I was continuously lying to people about what was coming when it wasn't the truth.
Okay. Because Yeah. Okay, so because your book is so amazing, and we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about that. So when COVID happened,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, kind of like went through this self-discovery,
Mm-hmm.
did you have to go back and rewrite anything, or did you just continue from where you left
I
off?
had to scrap it again, and I had to literally go back and relive some moments that I suppressed. And I had to, um, you know, where I'm from Greensboro, North Carolina. And we were taught in our homes that you don't speak outside of the home, you don't talk about certain things that happened in the home, and you don't disrespect the household. That was considered a sin. So a lot of the stuff that was happening in the home, I had to relieve myself to talk about it, to say it's okay. And I did not disrespect my family or my mother, but I had to talk about my truth so that I could heal myself, in a sense, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So, okay, and we're gonna get to the book. So you just said
Okay.
something real key because I grew up similar to you, in regards to
Hmm.
what happens at home stays at
Stays
home.
at home. That's
It
right.
stays
And
at
if
home. You don't.
and if it went out the house or your mama heard about it, you was gonna get a beating, a punishment, or something, because that's not what you do.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So because of that, when you start writing your book, and I know you said you were respectful of your mom, and
Hmm.
you write the narrative of that beautifully. Was it like, were you afraid of that? Because you're not only telling your story, you're telling your mother's story, your family, your aunt, your cousins, everybody's story. Like, were
Yeah.
you nervous about that? Because they
Well,
have to
it's
like come to grips with some stuff too.
right. Well, interesting enough, you said that the fear that was put in me as a child traveled with me to an adult. So the same fear that I had as a child, that's the fear I had about writing the book. And that's why I kept putting it off, because I was afraid. When you read the book, it talks about my abuser. I thought my abuser was going to come and do something to me as a grown man, as an adult. I thought maybe this person would show up to my house or something. So all of these things, psychologically and mentally, they were going through my head. And that same fear as a child from the age of 3 on up was still in my body. And we call that the inner child. And so I had to confront that inner child. And that inner child's name is Corky. His name was Corky.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
let's get to the book. Let's get to the book. So you start out the book, and you have it read as "I am here," the beginning of
Yeah.
life, and I'm just like saying, "I'm here," in your face, I'm here. So
I'm
with that,
here.
you're talking about like your childhood, and you're talking about like some of the things that you went through, and then you're sharing these things like openly. And you
Mm-hmm.
just talking about the abuse. Do you want to tell us? Because people only know Dr. Harley now. They only know the social media influencer.
Right. I tell you. So yes, I had to address those issues. And then one day I stood up and I thought to myself, well, what are they going to do to me? They can't beat me. I always say that really funny,
Yeah.
because that was one of the things that Monique said when she went through it. What they gonna do? Beat me up? What they gonna do? But I had to go through these conversations with myself and say to myself, listen, fear is false evidence appearing real. Fear is all false evidence appearing real. So this is a mental thing that someone who was a narcissist in my life that instilled this fear in me as a child that continued to travel with me most of my life. And so when I became courageous, when I became confident, when I worked on my self esteem, that's when it was easier for me to live in my truth and talk about my truth unapologetically, but be intentional.
Wow. Wow. And I mean, when I read the book, your story is similar to a lot of stories that I've
Mm-hmm.
heard from others, abuse
Mm-hmm.
within your family. And then you
Mm-hmm.
talked about like, who do you go to for help? It's so many people, they they are afraid to go. And I think the youth of today, the advantage
Mm-hmm.
that they have, their parents are they're more open to listening to them. But because
Mm-hmm.
back in the day, some people, they would go to their family and they would tell them what happened, and their moms would be like, no, you're lying, he didn't do that to you, all of that kind of stuff. So it was
Mm-hmm.
like, so
Mm-hmm.
as a man,
Mm-hmm.
like, what do you say to other men who have experienced some of the, abuse? Because you had mental, physical, and
Mm-hmm.
physical abuse. What do you say to other men that experienced that?
So, very interesting. Any speaking engagement that I've done, any workshop that I've spoken at, to men and women, um, 50% to 70%, almost 75% of the group have had that experience. They either suppressed it, did not talk about it, or they kept it with them for most of their lives and never ever discussed it. My brother, who I write about in my book, um, he talked about it with his wife and his daughter when the book came out. They came to my book signing, and that was the first time that his wife and his daughter read the book. And it was a very interesting moment because we were all sitting together when it happened and we discussed it. So, you know, but here's the thing, there's a lesson in this, and I want people to understand this. Right now, right this very moment, and then as I've talked about it, because I was so used to being one way, like this very moment when I say it, I am convicted in what I'm saying. I normally look for something to be wrong when I say what I just said to you and your followers. So just as it came out of my mouth, I'm looking for the pain. I'm looking for the suffering. I'm looking for somebody to do something to me. I'm looking out the window to see if somebody's going to go. But guess what? It's nothing there because I've done the work so that I don't have to suffer from my past any longer. So, as I was speaking the other day, I said we look for pain that is no longer there once we do the work. Because once you do the work to become who you need to be, it becomes unfamiliar territory. So you have to have the confidence of being in the place of the work being done. But often, sometimes people are not strong enough to stay in that space, so they go back to who they used to be because that's what's comfortable for them. Make sense? So
Absolutely.
I'm saying to you, saying to your listeners, it's not going to be an easy job to do the work to heal thyself. But once you heal thyself, it's going to be continuous work to stay on the path of healing. Now, it's a lonely space in the midst of healing. When you're in the midst of healing, you're going to look for things. You're going to start thinking about some things, and you're going to be without other people in that space. But I want people to know, and John, you could probably understand this, is God will put you alone to address some of the things you haven't seen. And then he will put you alone to protect you from what's coming. So he sits you back to move the mess aside so that he can prepare you for your blessing. You cannot understand or receive the blessing amongst chaos. It's just not going to happen. So you got to clean yourself up. You got to fix yourself. Because what you do is you continue to bring that trauma, that drama, and that mess to new relationships and situations, and they don't work out because you did not heal yourself from your past.
Oh my God. Okay, that's really, really good. That's really, really good. That's really, really good.
Right.
Okay, so let's talk about that though, because like we hear people all the time now. Therapy just seems like it's so cliche now. Everybody say, "Oh, I got
Mm-hmm.
a therapist. I'm doing this here. I'm
Mm-hmm.
putting in the work," but people
Mm-hmm.
really don't understand that. like how you describe it, that healing sometimes is lonely. It's not always a easy thing, and it doesn't mean that you have to play. I think a lot of times when people are going through the healing process, they're putting themselves in the victim role, like something has been done. Now you trying to be better in the future. Something may
Right.
have happened to you, but you're trying to be better in the future. So how do you, if somebody is listening tonight and they are at a place that they want to be different, but like how you said, we always go back to the familiar. They've tried once before and then they found themselves missing, well, not even missing what they left, but they found themselves, maybe life is not going the way it's supposed to go. And then, of course, those voices start going, oh, well, you need to go back. You should have stayed where you were. Things was good that when it really wasn't good. So what words of advice would you give somebody to stay out and to keep moving forward?
First of all, stop trying to fix people to be right for you because you're not willing to fix yourself to be right for you. That's first. We always make this mistake. Oh, he or she is just right. I just got to tweak some things about them to be right for me. But usually what happens is when you're trying to fix other people, you still haven't addressed the issues that you're dealing with. And let me give you all some signs of people that are always trying to fix people. The ones that always have an opinion about what you're trying to do. The ones that are always going to speak negative about something that's going on in your life. The ones that open their mouth before listening. They always want to give an opinion about what you're doing because they're not willing to take off the Band-Aid and fix themselves. And so what happens is, okay, we think that we have to settle, right? We think that we have to settle and say, okay, he's cute, she's cute. I'll take this, I'll work with it, I'll fix it. And then you mold them and shape them into being just right for you. And then what happens is they go, they walk away. And then you're sitting there wondering, well, I did this for you. And your first statement is, I gave you this, I did this for you, I made you who you are, da 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 da. Every time you try to fix somebody, you're fixing them for somebody else. Are y'all listening? Every time you fix somebody, or you start to fix them, dress them up, make them dress differently, make her wear a wig differently or her hair, you're fixing them for somebody else because you now have become an option. You are now an option because they know you are always going to be there regardless because you had a project. And the project knows that it can go away and come back and you'll still be waiting. But what if you took yourself off the sale rack and put yourself back in the glass case? What if you become who you need to be, heal who you need to be, work on yourself the way you need to be, and then that way you can attract who and what you deserve and desire. But no, Keith, I don't want to do that. It's lonely and I need some love and I need somebody to touch me. I need somebody to hold me. I need this, I need that. He'll be all right. He might have one tooth in his head. He might have one leg. He might even be paralyzed. But at least he's going to give me some company. And then you sitting up there miserable, lonely, in the relationship. That is the most horrible situation in the world. To be in a relationship or a marriage and be lonely because you forgot about who you are.
Yeah, and I think the thing too, a lot of times in those situations is that we start out and we're dating the potential. We're dating potential. Yeah, that's where we are. And this could be anything in life. Doesn't necessarily have to be a relationship, but many times we get in situations and we're looking at the potential of what it could be. And sometimes we have to get to a place that we're no longer entertaining potential. You come to the table already made, already at your level that is worthy of me. And I think that's where a lot of people, and it's not just a woman's thing, it's a man thing.
Yeah,
Everybody does
absolutely.
it. You know, we
Yeah.
go in and we see
Men
who
just
they
don't
can
talk
be.
about it.
Exactly.
You
Yeah,
know?
we see who they could be in our lives. And
Mm-hmm.
like you said, we build them, and all they do is go and be that for someone
For
else.
somebody else.
For somebody else. No. Yeah. So, okay. So, and I loved how you said, take yourself off the shelf and put yourself back in the case, because you and I had a conversation the other day and we were talking and you said, stop looking and start attracting. And that stayed with me. That stayed with me because like it is so true, like so many times. And it's not just dating. We are looking for things that we want. And in your book, you talk about conceptualizing the life you want and being that life even before you get it. So talk a little bit more about the stop looking, start attracting.
Yeah, so I talk about that because we that's when I say we have to address the insecurities. Um, you know, a lot of the people that have these insecurities can't even look at themselves in the mirror. Sometimes you got to strip bare, butt naked, and just look at yourself. If you don't like what you see, fix it, work on it, be the best you can be. When I tell you, when you turn that love inward, there is something there is an aura that you have that people go crazy over. That you can't quite understand what it is. It's just an attraction because that love that you have for yourself teaches people how to treat you. And I think people miss the boat that way because they have all these insecurities, but they go to the end of their lives laying down, looking up as they transition, but they can't get up, reflecting on what they could have done and lived life differently. I don't want your followers, I don't want you, I don't want anybody to have that experience. And while you're hearing it now from me, I want this to be embedded in your DNA. That the more you love yourself, the more you will attract what you deserve. The more you will teach them how to love you and treat you. And you will have an impactful life, I promise you. But if you continue to go down the path of people pleasing, which devalues the value of who you are in your existence, you will continue to have the same problems over and over again until your life ends. The transition may be quick or it may be slow. Regardless, the transition will happen and you will still reflect, whether it's a millimeter of a second or it takes you 7 days. You're going to reflect on what you coulda, woulda, shoulda done. Don't live life in regret, because I wouldn't want to see that for myself or for any of you.
So, Dr. Harley, so you said like start loving yourself. And I think this is something that's hard for people to do. And the funny thing is, I think that we have to extend grace to ourselves because we go through different stages of life. And I never forget when I turned 50, I felt the freest I've ever felt, but I felt the most lost that I've ever felt because I was like, who is John supposed to be at 50? I just didn't know. And it's like,
Right.
you know, I lived 50 or 49 years before that. And it seemed like by now I would be sure of who I was. But I really felt like I didn't know where I fit in. You know, I didn't fit in this group. I didn't fit in this group. I didn't fit in this group. And I just felt a little bit lost. But I had to, and I never forget, I was on the call with my therapist and I was crying about that because I just didn't know like who I was supposed to be. And she shared with me, like, extend grace. And my best friend, he's a Korean guy. He told me, he was like, hey, John, you're 50. This is the first and only time you've been 50. You know, it's a journey. Live your life. Do what you want to do. What you do love, do it again. If you don't love it, don't do it anymore. And just figure out who you are. And I think that's what people have to do to get to this phase of loving themselves, like get to know who you are today. Life has changed you. Relationships change you. Jobs change you. But find out who you are today and start loving the person you are today. The good, bad, ugly, all of it. Just love it.
I think I'm going to explain it to you this way. So what you experienced was, okay. Can you see that?
Yep.
You transitioned from the first part of your life to the last part of your life. This is the first part of your life is when you learn all the lessons. When you got to this line at 50, you cried, you were depressed because this was the unknown, because you were transitioning. And I'm going to give all of you all a very hard fact. When you're transitioning to last, you're headed to the end. The question is, what are you going to do about it from this line to the end? What are you going to do about it? Because you can't go back here. None of this is going to happen ever again. So those of you who are wasting time in the first is gone. Now, let me give you a hard fact. The second part towards the end is shorter than the first part. I want you all to digest for this for a minute. The first part of your life seems like forever. But the last part of your life, in the midst of the transition from first to last, goes like that. So those moments that you feel depressed and upset and feel like you don't have the love of your life or you're not where you need to be, I give you 30 minutes to cry about it. But those moments that you're depressed about it, upset about it, disappointed about it, you can't get back. And so you're wasting time. So I always talk about in my classes and my speeches, you have to go from the problem to the solution and the resolution. When you be able to, I'm reading a book right now. It's called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. And it is a scientific fact on how you can change your mindset to think differently in a millimeter of a second. You have that control. So what John just said about what he experienced was his transition. He's like, oh my God. And I guarantee you, John, at that moment, you were thinking to yourself, oh my God, my life is over. What's happening? What am I going to do? I'm not happy. I'm not this. I'm not that. And, we all go through that. I went through it. But it just so happens that when I went through it, I was in the midst of COVID. And so it was like a double bam, bam, bam. Because I couldn't get up and run away from the problem. I couldn't get up and run away from what I was feeling. I had to sit with myself in it, knee deep, and address it. So I'm saying to each and every one of you, if you're going through that in life and you're trying to figure it all out, but yet you're still stuck in a problem, which is paralyzing you to go to the solution, you have to have your mindset that, okay, I'm going to make a decision today. I'm no longer going to be depressed. I'm going to make a decision today that I'm going to get up, get out, and do something about it because my life is withering and wasting away. And that is literally the way you got to talk to yourself. The last is shorter than the first.
Yeah, and the good thing about that is that it should inspire you to go out and do everything you want to do. Like
absolutely.
Life, I tell people I have more years behind me than I do ahead of me. So whatever time I do have ahead of me, I'm going to make it the best years of my life. I do everything I want to do, unrestricted. unprohibited, not worrying about what anybody is going to think. You can think that, but hey, you'll be thinking it while I'm doing what I want to do.
That's
And
right.
that's what
That's
you
right.
have to find, that power of just living your life free. And just like I said, how you said in your book, and we're going to talk about that, but conceptualizing the life that you want and start creating it, start making moves like you are already there. Some of us, we always say, well, I want to do this here, or I think I should do this. I always say, well, do you want to do it, or are you doing it? Like, or what moves are you making to have the life that you want? And most times we're stuck. A lot of people are stuck.
Most of the time they're stuck is because of the people they're hanging with.
Bingo, that we're gonna go there too. Yeah. You can't go with me. The guilt of the change. Yeah. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about these people in our circle.
Right.
So what about what you have to say about that, Dr. Harley?
You become who you hang around. And if people around you are broke, you broke. If people around you who are negative, you negative. If people around you have lack of energy and unhealthy, that's what you are. I guarantee you, if you look at the 5 people that you talk to the most on your cell phone, you are just like them. And then if you're not, let me ask you a question. Are you willing to trade places with them? Are you willing to take your life and put it within theirs? Mostly 9 times out of 10, nope. So the first part of you changing your present situation is looking at the people that you're hanging with. The second part, another way we call it is manifestation, is, and I was talking about this the other day, and this is so strong, and if there's anything that you all get from this, this is the one thing, and John probably can relate to this. If you're going to manifest and you're going to talk about what you want, you got to have the belief behind it. The reason why it has not worked for you is because you don't have enough belief behind it. Because if you had the belief that this could actually become your reality, then you would get up off your butt and do the work. But because you don't believe and you're still living in the dream, you still sleep, and you're sleeping on yourself. But what if one day you just woke up and say, I'm tired of dreaming. I want this dream. I want this goal. I want this thing to become my reality. It starts with, I believe I can. I believe I will. I believe that God is going to see me through. That is the one thing that you're lacking. Then, let me just give you a little cherry on top of the cake, because this is deep for me. Then what happens is, you say, okay, I'm going to give it to God. Right, John? You say, God got this. God going to take care of this. God going to give me that, But then what you do is, as soon as you give it to him, you take it back and try to do his work. You give it to him and then you try to do it better, when if you could have done it better, you would have done it. But yet, you give it to him and you continue to take it back. So let me explain to you what that means by taking it back. You worry. You talk about it negatively. Every time I ask you how you doing, oh, I'm broke. Oh, I ain't got this and I can't that, because these are the words that you're speaking to yourself, right? So John, we have a couple of holes in our body. Some we choose not to talk about and some we can. Let me rephrase that. Let me say it one more time so y'all get it. We got a couple of holes, openings to our body, right? And we want to talk about some of the holes, and some we do want to talk about. But let's talk about the important holes in our body. The mouth and the ear. Okay? What you hear comes into your head. What is in your head comes out of the hole in your face, out of your mouth, right? And then when it comes out of your mouth, it regurgitates back to where, John?
Back here. Yeah, because you
So
hear it.
what you hear what you're saying out of your mouth. And not only are you hearing it once, but you're hearing it twice because you're having a conversation in your head. So you're hearing it three ways. The problem is if you're speaking negativity, you're hearing it three ways. If you saying you broke, you're hearing it three ways. So that's why you're broke. All of these things that you're saying, you're continuously hearing it, not only from the people that you're hanging with, but most importantly from yourself. So my question is, what you gonna do with it? When are you gonna change the conversations that you're having with yourself? When are you gonna change the conversations that you're having in your head? And when are you gonna change the conversations of what's coming out of your mouth when you continue to hear it and spew it out on a regular basis? So
Yeah.
leave.
Yeah. And you know, the funny thing about change in our circles, I think that we get so loyal to people. This person has been my friend since kindergarten, but what value are they adding to your life today at 40, 35, 50, whatever age you are? What value are these people adding to your life now? And like you said, we become who we hang around with because
Right.
it is a normal thing. We do not want to be the one that stand out. We
Right.
say we do, but when it comes to our family and our friends, we conform and we try and fit in, even if it requires us to suppress who we are to
You
make
know what
them
that comes
feel
from?
better.
That's fear. That's insecurity. You know, for the first time in my life, I don't know about you, I don't give a damn what people think. I really, it is none of my business what you think about me. And I'll be very honest, I did not come to this until maybe 52, 53, because I was putting too much hope, love, and respect in other people. I was putting people on a pedestal that didn't deserve a stepping stone. I was, you know, I thought that certain people were friends. I thought people were close to me, you know, and then coming to find out, certain people will do that for the benefit of themselves. Family members will do that for the benefit of yourselves. If there's another thing I can tell you, I think I put this in the book. If not, it's not in this one, it's in the one coming. You can't choose your relatives, but you can choose your family. If you want a certain family around you, choose it. But their relatives, they can stay relatives or they can stay family. But you have options. Choose wisely.
Yeah. Wow. And so people that are listening, people that are listening, because it is so hard. It is very hard having to not and cut people off. That's the easiest way to say it, and cut circles and move on to things. And you talked about this in your book. When you're switching levels in your life, sometimes those transitions are lonely. But the good
Mm-hmm.
thing about it is when you get to that next level, God will connect you with people to walk with you at that level of your journey. But here's
Right.
where we go wrong is we're trying to take Bobo, our cousin, from level 3 to level 4, and he's
Mm-hmm.
filling a place
Mm-hmm.
that he shouldn't be filling anymore. He's occupying
Mm-hmm.
space in our lives that is destined for someone else. But as
Mm-hmm.
long as Bobo is in that seat, the new person can't sit there because it's filled.
That's
We
because
have
that's what
to.
we were taught.
That's what we
We
were
were
taught.
taught. We were taught that we had to bring Bobo or our cousin Bubba. We were taught that it, you know, and um, but listen, I always do. I always do something. Okay, so I want you all to have an analogy. Now I'm from the country, right? And in the country, we had these porcelain cups. And my grandmother used to drink from a porcelain cup and she would drink Sanka coffee. Y'all remember Sanka? And in that Sanka coffee, she always had to have a saucer and a cup, right? Now, here's the issue that people make in life, the problems that people have in life. They're always trying to serve to get some slurpings and drippings out of the saucer because ain't nothing in the cup. The cup is you. So my question for you is, when are you going to start filling your cup, and what drips over in the saucer is for everybody else? Why do you keep continuing to try to fill everybody's saucer? You broke, you lonely, you disgusted, you depressed, you don't have any confidence, you have lack of self-esteem, but yet you keep looking in the saucer for Bubba, who knows you always going to be there, who knows you're going to give him $2 to go get a beer all the time, and they just know because they see you coming a mile away. Oh, he's a pushover. Let me just go on and get it. He gonna give it to me. And they know it because you continue to let people do it. Same with your relationships. Those of you who are in those long-term marriages and relationships, y'all stay around because you don't want to be lonely or you don't think you can find anybody better. Yet, the other individual has already found somebody better. You just around to keep a pillow under their head.
Mic drop.
So y'all just lay in there cohabitating and you're miserable, but they're happy because they have the best of both worlds and they get to do what they want to do. And then you find yourself trying to figure out what they're doing. Let me tell you something. The moment that you're in a relationship and you got to look to see what somebody else is doing, it is over. I don't look in phones. I don't look and see where you're going. I don't ask who you with. I did that in my younger years. I did that I don't give a shit what you're doing because it's on you. It's not going to negate my happiness. It's not going to negate who I am as an individual. I love myself too much to have to put myself in a situation where I have to look for something to be right or wrong. If it's not right, if it's not wrong, if it's wrong, whatever the case may be, then it is what it is. Then I make the decision whether I want to stay or go. But I'm not going to look for it.
We take ownership of others' actions.
Yeah.
What they do is not us. That is not a reflection of us. What becomes a reflection of us is when we stick around and we continue to tolerate it. What they do is not a reflection of you. You have a choice at that point when it's presented to you. You make that choice and you say, hey, I'm either going to stay here and you're going to get your shit together and we're going to be better, or I'm leaving. And if you stick around and you see that they are not getting better and you stay there when you know they're not doing you right, that's when it becomes your problem.
Right. Yeah. And the pain becomes unbearable. But then after you get out of the situation and you don't do the work on yourself, you bring that same pain to the next relationship, and then the next relationship, and then the next relationship. And every time you be saying, men ain't no good, women ain't no good, coming to find out they just told you who they were from the beginning. It's the person that ain't no good is you, because you keep settling for that shit.
Dr.
They
Harley,
told you who they were. You saw the signs. They lied to you in the beginning. They said, oh, I did have a job. Yeah, okay, baby, it's gonna be okay. I know it'll work out. I meant to tell you about her. And she's been we used to be, dating, but we not dating no more. But I had an accident and I went back to it. It's gonna be okay, baby. I understand. But then they told you who you were and you didn't want to listen because he tapped that spot and one of those holes that I told you all about. And you feel like that you're gonna go ahead and fill that hole and it feels good and you're gonna be good. No. And then some of y'all are in the situation, John, you're going to love this, and ain't none of them holes being tapped. None of them. You can't hear nothing. You can't see nothing. You can't even say nothing. You don't even feel nothing. None of them hoes. And you sitting up there looking stupid.
Oh my God, they need therapy after you tonight, Doctor.
It's
People,
reality.
yeah, it's reality. It's reality. But let me. So this is the thing with that, though. I think the reason when people tell us or show us who they are in the beginning, this is another place that we go wrong, is that we believe we are the exception. That they're not going to do us the way that we see them doing other people. They're going to love me differently. They're going to treat me differently because I'm good to them. I'm loyal. I'm
What did you
this.
just say? I'm good.
Good. Yeah. But they're not.
I'm loyal.
Yeah. It's no except when people show you who they are in the very beginning, listen to them and believe them and walk the hell away because
That
you're
part.
not the exception. They're telling you this is who I
Right.
am, and I'm going to eventually do the same thing to you. So just
Yes.
walk away and let them go. Yeah.
And let me explain to people. I can speak on this because I lived it. I don't want you all to think that I'm speaking on what I've been taught. I'm speaking on what I've been through. And I think that's the mistake a lot of people make. They talk about what they've been taught in the books, or preachers be speaking from the pulpit about what they think is right, but yet they still have an affair with 3 other women in the choir stand, or people. I listen. No, I'm telling y'all what I've experienced, and it's always the people that are running their mouths that are doing exactly what they're telling you not to do. But they feel it's their place to teach you rather than teach themselves. But I'm saying that all to say, we have got to understand, take the signs, take the signals that God gives you. Because he gives them to you in the beginning. Now, if they come forward and say, I have a problem and I need change, then take that for face value. But you got to stop staying in situations that are not going to elevate you to experience the last part of your life with life, love, energy, and excitement.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So let's talk about this a little bit too, because you talk about this in your book. When people, and we're not going to just narrow it down to, the things that you went through. When people are in situations that are like hurtful and can be embarrassed, a lot of times people feel a sense of shame, and that causes them to stay a little bit longer than what they supposed to. Like, what advice do you have for someone who is sticking around because of
You sure
shame?
you ready for the answer for that?
Well, after what you done said tonight, I think I'm ready for anything. Yeah.
Okay. Let everybody brace themselves. Woosah. Woosah. The pain is more painful to stay than a lifetime of pain. Okay, the pain is painful to stay. It will be forever. But when you leave, the pain eventually goes away and you heal in the process. So if y'all are in those situations and the pain is hurting, just think about it. You're going to stay and it's going to continue to be painful. But if you decide one day that enough pain, well, what happens is actually you become numb and you don't even recognize what pain is because you just stay and deal with it. But if you don't want to experience that pain and become numb, then you make a decision to walk away. The pain is temporary. So the longer you stay, the pain will always be there. When you begin to go, the healing will start. And there is a peace and a freedom that you cannot put into words. I guarantee you, and I guarantee you that there is somebody out there that's going to love you the way you deserve to be loved. There's going to be somebody out there that once you've learned how to love yourself, they're going to love you unconditionally. They're going to love you they'll love you when you look ugly in the morning. They'll love you and not criticize you and support you and make your existence worthy. Often, sometimes when you're in these situations that are uncomfortable, you devalue your existence. That's not God, what God created you for. And I want you to understand, and I don't mean to hit all of you all hard, but the more you devalue your existence, that is hurtful to God, because He did not create you to diminish your purpose. And understand, He did not give your vision to these other people. He gave your vision to you. Don't let other people try to alter that based on their craziness. The more you devalue who you are, the more you devalue and hurt God, because He created you in your own image. He created you. Nobody has the same fingerprint, nothing. You are you, and you are you. And so every time you diminish that, you're hurting what has been created. I'm going to tell you something real quick. And this is what really did it for me. So you all remember this in 2024, or was it in 2023? I think it was 2024, when we saw the eclipse. Was that 2024?
Yeah, I think so. Or, yeah, it was either 24 or 23. Yes, it's
Okay.
been recent. Yeah.
Yes, but it was recent. So let me ask you a question. What was you doing when the eclipse came out?
Sitting in
Did you
my
see it?
house, looking at my neighbors outside in the front yard.
And what did you and what did you see? What did you see when you
Yeah, I
saw
mean,
the eclipse?
I didn't even go outside to look at it. I stayed in my house. I just saw them out in
You
the
saw it on
yard.
TV?
Yeah, I did see it
Okay.
on TV.
So let me tell you, I went out back. I went outside and I experienced the whole thing. And I remember how it got pitch black dark. And when it got pitch black dark, I saw an eyeball. I want you to go back and look at it on YouTube, okay? There was an eyeball looking at us. And those of you who were in the line of seeing it, it was one of the most incredible things I've ever seen in my entire life. And I don't know if I'll ever see it again. But that's when I knew He was real. If you didn't have any if you didn't know that He was real at that very moment, the eclipse and what I saw, sometimes He has to make Himself known to get you to change. And I got to thinking to myself, I am doing a disservice not only to myself, but to the person or the thing or that spirit or something that created me. Why am I, Yolanda Hargrove said 2024, right? Why am I going to allow myself to sit around here, be lonely, unhappy, depressed, with people and situations that are not for me and my future? Why am I going to do that? It's a waste of time. He's real. He created you. If you could think back and see where you came from, you don't even know. You just know you appeared. So the same way you appeared, John, is the same way you could disappear. What are you going to do between the appearance and the disappearance is the question. Are you going to waste it on some crazy person that don't give a doo-doo about you? Are you going to waste it on a person that doesn't respect you? Are you going to waste it on the past that you can't do nothing about because it's gone? Are you going to waste it on people who you think care about you but don't know how to respect you or love you the way that you deserve? You have choices. Choose wisely.
Oh, I love that. I love that. So Lasunda said, it is a hard thing to walk away, but it's one of the most liberating moments you will ever experience. I 100% agree with that.
That's absolutely true.
Yeah. So one last thing, Dr. Harley, before we go, and you talk about this in your book, and that's forgiveness. Sometimes people think, and you say this in your book, forgiveness is for you. It's, it's not really, it's for them, but it's for you to release. Talk about forgiveness a little bit. Like, How do someone forgive someone that has hurt them horribly? How do you do
For
that?
well, John, hear me loud and clear. Forgiveness is for you, not for them. I never told you I forgive them. I told you I forgive me. Look,
Oh my God.
you ain't never heard me say, I forgive them. And you will never hear me say that I forgive them. What I'm telling y'all publicly on this live, on this replay, I forgive me because I'm the one who allowed myself to go through it. I didn't say I forgive them. Do I forgive my abuser? No. Do I forgive the people that hurt me? Absolutely not. I forgive me for being in it. I forgive me for allowing it to happen. I forgive me for it being beyond my control. I forgive me because I'm the one who took that job knowing damn well I didn't belong there anyway. I forgive myself for allowing somebody to talk to me like they done lost their damn mind. I forgive me. Do I forgive them? Hell no. I don't. Why? They don't care.
True.
Let me tell you something, John. People don't give a damn about you. They have gone on about their business. They have hurt you. They've done all the things and they are living their lives. Trust me, you are the last person they're thinking about. And those of you who are in these relationships and situations, they not thinking about you. Y'all better to get it. I'm telling you all, people do not, they do not concern themselves with you. They're concerned with themselves. And the moment that you put yourself first, that's when things change. I guarantee you. So the answer to your question, no. I don't forgive none of them people.
So let's talk about that because you have a strong faith in God. You have a strong
Yes,
faith
Lord.
in God. You go
Praise
to
the
church
Lord.
every Sunday.
Yes, Lord.
Yeah, you do.
Not every
So-
Sunday, but
not every Sunday, but you do
Right,
it
right.
regularly. You know,
Right.
So let's talk about that. So because we're taught that we are supposed to, well, we're taught as young to forgive and forget. As we've evolved, we understand that maybe you can forgive, but you don't forget because some things you just don't forget
John.
that happened to you.
John.
So yeah. So why?
Does it
So
say-
you.
Does it say in the Bible who to forgive?
No.
Can somebody tell me in the comments? Does it say forgive them? Does it say that? Does it say? Does it? I just want to know.
Forgive my transgressions. Yeah.
Okay, forgive my transgressions. But it didn't say the person in the transgression, right? Come on now. John, somebody correct me if I'm wrong. Anywhere in the Bible does it say forgive him or her? I want to see in the comments. You can see the comments.
Okay, so let's talk about that a little bit. So,
Okay.
if you don't forgive, let's say going off of what you're doing, if you don't forgive, how do you move past that? Like, how do you move forward from it?
You forgive yourself for the experience and you move on. Because when you begin to focus on forgiving somebody for what they've done to you, they are still part of your life. Because guess what? You're trying to do the work to forgive them. Let me ask you a question, John. Have you been in a relationship where somebody has hurt you?
Absolutely.
How long did it take you to forgive them?
Okay, so that's I'm glad you asked that type of question because I think that's the thing of because I can forgive anybody for anything. I really
How
can.
long did it take you to forgive that person?
Probably a while and multiple times, and that's
What's
where
a
I was
while?
going with it. Depending on the transgression, I guess it could be.
No, transgression ain't a friend, ain't a person. Somebody give me somebody give me the definition of a transgression, because the last time I checked, transgression is not human, right?
Okay, so the Saints are coming. They coming for you, Doctor.
And what they say?
So hold on. Tracy, she
She
gave the
said
scripture.
Ephesians 4:32. And what does Ephesians 4:32 say?
Okay, Tracy put that in the comments, and then let's see here. Mark,
I like Tracy. Come on, Tracy, give it to me.
and then Marquita said,
Forgive those who
"Who
trespass
trespass
against you.
against you?" Yeah, that's what I
Okay.
pressed.
Okay, so hold it for a minute. What does trespass mean?
Violate, cross lines. Come on, yeah, you violate. You cross the lines. So
Right.
you forgive those who cross the lines in your life.
Right. So most of the time they moving, right? Trespass means movement. They done moved through you, done what they got to do to you, and they keep on going. So I forgive the trespass, but you will not be forgiven nor forgotten. I'm just saying. I know they gonna get me, but that's just the way I feel. If put it this way, let me give you all the hard truth. In my book, I talk about how a family member abused me from the age of 3 to 16. Right? And
Y'all
then
got to get it.
I carried that abuse till I was 50. I can forgive that person if I choose to, right? But I needed to heal myself for allowing that to go with me for the rest of my life. Someone just said, forgive those who trespass against you. Right. You right. Y'all right. Okay. I get it. I wasn't looking at it that way. Maybe I do forgive and I don't forget, or maybe I let it be for what it is and not think about it anymore. I don't know what it is. I'm not going to try to pretend like I do, but I don't know about the word. Yeah, I gotta think about that because I've been through some hard stuff, and I don't have any anger. And I'll be very honest with you, I would not be the man that I am today if I had not gone through what I went through. So I'm grateful for the good and I'm grateful for the bad, if
Right.
you will.
Yeah.
But all jokes aside, there's a level of forgiveness or forgettingness. I don't know what it is, but I have to I have to pray. Look, John, I got to pray on it.
Yeah, and you know the thing is, and I definitely got to put this. I normally don't put this up, type of stuff up there, but like Marquita said, listen to that
Listen
bitter
to that
heart.
bitter heart.
So, and this is the thing that I think people need to understand about forgiveness. When you haven't walked through someone's shoes, it's easy for you to say, "Oh, well, they're not over it. They haven't forgiven it. They haven't done that." But it's some things, like you said, you will never ever deal with someone that did something, a particular act to you. It's some things some people will do to you and you say, fuck you, I'm never dealing with you again. Some people will say, oh, well, no, you're supposed to forgive them. No, I have forgiven them, but I'm choosing not to deal with them. So I think people think, oh, well, he has a bitter heart because you're saying what you're saying. But I guess once they get your book and understand what
Right.
you've been through, then it's a little bit easier to understand why you could say that.
And listening and Mark, is that Markeen? Markeen? I don't have a bitter heart. I don't have a bitter heart. And similar to what you just said, when you've been through some things, like I know a friend, my best friend, she suffered in a marriage where she was abused, beaten. She went to work with a black eye all the time. And I got to ask her, I'm going to ask her about the word forgiveness. It's not necessarily, I wouldn't say a bitter heart, but it may be what you just said. You just would never deal with that person any longer. But when I question myself, do I have a bitter heart? I know I don't have, because I know what type of man I am, and I know based on what I went through, that's how I treat people. I treat people with what I didn't. I treat people how, not what I've been through, but how I wanted to be a better person and love on people. Um, but I guess, you've given me, all of you, and I want you to know, you all are teaching me something as much as I'm teaching you. I got to think about that word forgiveness, and maybe I'm using it wrong. Maybe it is that I've forgiven them, but maybe I'll never forget it, and I'll never let it take control of my life again. But maybe that's my way of saying I haven't forgiven, if you will.
Right. And I think too, this is another thing that people have to understand is that forgiveness is something that takes place multiple times for the same act with some
Oh,
people.
absolutely.
Every day you may wake up and you'll say, oh, I forgive this person for that. And then tomorrow you wake up and that same thing is bothering you again.
Or they repeat it again.
Or they repeat it again.
Yeah.
And you have to say in those moments, I forgive them for that. Sometimes you have to forgive people until it no longer triggers you, till it no longer hurts you, and it's not just a one and done thing. So I can't say whether or not, and I can't judge you if you have, or if that person is deserving of forgiveness, because I haven't walked in your shoes. And once we learn to allow people's story to be their story and mind our own damn business and stop being judgmental and critical towards people, then the world be a little bit better.
Yeah.
So I don't like that type of stuff. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't like that. Let people, whatever their story is and whatever their journey is, respect that and shut the hell up.
Right.
And if
because
you don't agree
people
with
don't
it, shut up.
understand. Yeah, people don't understand the pain that they've never experienced.
Exactly. Should
so-
a woman that's been raped, is she supposed to just forgive that man who raped her and violated her and say, oh, I can be his friend? No, we want to put levels of what we forgive people for. People stop that.
Yeah. And I'm going to put it to you all harshly. I was literally raped for 14 years straight, consistently. And so it's hard. I used to could not talk about this. And I want you all to know that there are far more men that have experienced this than you can ever imagine, that either suppressed it or put it into darkness or put it in their closet and haven't talked about it, or sometimes it may come out later. But it's mentally, you've given me something to think about when it comes to the word forgiveness. So that's something I got to think about. I'm being one thing you'll know about me, John, I'm extremely transparent and organic. I'm not going to pretend. If I'm wrong with this thing, forgiveness, then I'll take responsibility. But I'm gonna have to do some research on that.
No, be you.
Right.
Yeah, like I said, whatever you feel, that's your story.
I don't feel vindictive. I don't feel like I want to go and get those people. I don't feel like that. But it is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is. And until somebody has walked in your shoes and understands your path, and I'm not just, when I say you, I'm talking about people in general. I think that's what we have to understand, is that we don't know what someone has been through to be where they are. And I encourage the people who are in a place where you have been hurt and you have been broken. Like I said, forgiveness sometimes is something you do every day until it no longer triggers you. And in that process of forgiving, like you did, you extend grace to yourself and you forgive you for allowing those things to happen. And you forgive yourself for sticking around in situations that you do not deserve. And that's what forgiveness, like you said, it's more for me than it is for you, because I want to forgive you to a place that when I see you, I don't give two shits about you. You don't bother me. I ain't got to speak to you. Don't talk to me. And we all good. I feel nothing for you. That's where I want to be with people.
Right. Yeah, it's more like I think it's more like forget you rather than forgive you. You know, there used to be something in elementary school. We used to say, "Forget you, forgot you, never ever thought about you." It's something we used to say in elementary school. It'll come to me, but I think that's what it is. It's just I don't even they don't even exist.
Exactly. So, Dr. Harley, this has been amazing. I know you have a new book in the works. So,
I
tell us
do.
about that. When is it going to come out and
Oh
everything?
God. So the new book is called The Disruptor, and it's about when you do the work to become who you need to be, you have to believe that you have to believe you deserve to be in that space. And I think a lot of people do the work and then create this new life and they don't know how to own it. They don't believe that they deserve it. I talk to people all the time, when some people were broke and now they're successful and they can't even identify with being successful because they've never been to that space. Or someone said on my Instagram the other day, I showed my house and she said, I follow you for inspiration, but because of where you live and what you live in, I am no longer inspired because I don't see myself in that space.
Mm.
And I immediately responded to her and I said, we are not going to talk like that. And you're not going to make me feel guilty for the work that I've done just because you're not willing to do the work. And she, I know she got quiet because then it took her a while to respond. And she said, that was painful. I said, well, I had to be honest with you. Don't make me feel guilty because what I've been through and then I've done the work to get where I am. And then you have a problem because you haven't done the same thing. That's selfish. Why should I feel guilty because you're not willing to do the work? So often sometimes we complain about the results we don't get because of the work we don't do. And that's what this book is about. It's disrupting some things in your life and knowing that you deserve to be where you're going and when you get there and to stay there and the stick-to-itiveness and the work that it's going to take to make it happen. And that's why you got to disrupt some things around you. People are going to be upset. And I'm going to end on this note. John, and whoever's on this live and whoever's watching, when you begin to do the work and you realize that your present situation is not your final destination because you choose to step up and then you disrupt some things, people are not going to like you because they no longer have access. So I need you to be prepared for what that takes. They're no longer going to have access. They only have access to who you used to be, but they don't have access to who you are today because of the work you do. John, I thank you for having me on this. This has been amazing. Y'all got me thinking about some stuff.
Yeah, but I'll probably need to call my therapist and set up an appointment tomorrow.
Just be mindful, y'all, of what y'all are letting in all the holes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we're not going to touch that one. These hoes, this hole, these hoes here. So, uh, Dr. Harley, thank you so much for coming on tonight. This has been amazing. And I hope everyone that has been, so Leslie Green said, when is the book coming out?
Oh, hey, Miss Leslie, that's my girl. I'm thinking June, the soonest. We're going to do a pre-sale in about a month or two. And then we have some ebooks. If you go to any of my social media platforms and you go to my link tree in my bio, you'll see some of my ebooks. E-journals. If there's any of you that want to do the work based on what me and John have talked about tonight, the first e-journal that I would suggest that you get should be The Inner Child. Before you do the work of who you are today, you got to go back and do the work of who you used to be as a child. And that will set the foundation of where you're going. So I would start there.
Nice, nice. And just a shout out to
Yeah.
Dr. Christy. She is
Oh,
actually
she's on here.
yeah, she's on here. She's one of Dr. Harley. Her and Dr. Harley works together, and I've chatted with her on the phone and email. Thank you for tuning in, and absolutely, yeah, post the link for sure. If you have the link to post in the chat now, please post it in the chat.
I can't believe she had time to be on here for me. What?
Hey, you Dr. Keith Harley. You Dr. Keith Harley.
I'm
So
telling you,
hey,
man. Thank
but
you.
you guys go out and follow him on Instagram and TikTok. Again, he is Dr. Keith Harley. He does like some incredible things. He go live all the time, and he is like an extraordinary cook. You're gonna have to have me over for Sunday dinner, man. I see you on there throwing down. So check him out. Everything that he does, it is inspiring. I'm telling you guys, it is just. He's one of the most inspiring people I know, and I'm happy about being connected with you, Dr. Harley, for sure.
Thank you, John. Let me tell you, when you reached out and I went to look at some of your, we always do our background checks. I had to see who you were, brother. And I tell you, your energy is infectious. And it's clear that you have done the work to become who you are. And you have a message that people need to hear. And if there's any one thing that I could tell you publicly, is continue to do what you're doing, because people need to hear it. People need to see it. The energy that you have is infectious. People need it. So continue to do what you do, brother, because we need it. All of us, including myself.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you.
You're
and
welcome.
Everybody, we will see you next Monday. Next Monday, we are leveling up on fitness. We got a fitness trainer that's going to be on here, and we're going to talk about some goals and maintaining and everything. But everybody, please go and like this video, YouTube, Facebook, so that it can be shared with others just like you. And then also share the link. Please share the link and follow Dr. Keith. Let me give you his information again on IG and TikTok. He's Dr. Keith Harley. On Twitter, he's Keith Harley. And then on YouTube, he has a YouTube channel. It's Keith Harley Stylist. So check him out on all of those platforms. And we will see you guys next week. Peace.
Peace.